Hello, viewers. Welcome again to MBTV Weekly News Roundup. We bring to you top developments from Indian real estate space, which is going to have a lasting impact on you as consumers. I'm Prasun Kumar, Marketing Head of Magicbricks, and with me to decode all the news for you is Jayashree Kurup, Senior Real Estate Journalist and Editor-in-Chief of MBTV. Welcome, Jayashree.
Thanks, Prasun.
So, lots of consumer-friendly developments we have been talking about for weeks, Jayashree, and I have some good news, more good news coming for us. This time coming from Supreme Court, where Supreme Court has said that despite RERA, or along with RERA rather, I would say, home buyers can also pursue the remedies at different consumer forums, namely NCDRC and other places, if they have grievances. Now, RERA was established primarily as a monitoring and agency to look after projects and timely completion of projects. But over a period of time, of course, it has acquired that consumer-friendly face to itself, where consumers have started approaching it. Now, having more agencies coming into play, and I know we have been talking about how we should reduce complexity for consumers. How do you see this development? I mean, having more players or having more agencies to go to, is it essentially a good thing and a consumer-friendly thing?
Ideally, Prasun, what comes in the purview of RERA, in my view, what comes in the purview of RERA, which is new properties till completion, should be in the purview of RERA. And what has happened is, in the future, that's what's going to happen. But right now, what we are facing is the legacy of the past. There are projects that haven't been completed for 10 years, 12 years. Developers are missing. Some developers are saying, we're not going to give you whatever we promised. Very recently, we heard the Supreme Court saying that, the builder-buyer agreement is the one that's valid when it comes to determining penalties and so on. So right now, there are multiple agencies we're talking about the real estate and giving views. The thing is that civil courts, other than the Supreme Court, are not right now treading on RERA's toes. But that doesn't mean that other forums can't. NCDRC is the consumers go to for redressal, for any redressal. The problem with NCDRC is that it takes too long because they deal not only with real estate but everything under the sun. Now, can you tell NCDRC not to rule in real estate? That is what the courts have said, that you cannot. NCDRC is a forum which consumers go for redressal, and they will continue to go because forums are not precluded from the RERA's ambit. But personally, I believe that going into the future, there has to be some modification of the law where RERA becomes as supreme in real estate as SEBI is in the
and we have been talking about how we should be adding more teeth to RERA, right? I mean, it should have judicial powers. It should have powers to, give punishments to defaulters and so on and so forth.
Execute the punishments. Today it pronounces, but the execution has been a little tardy. That's picking up steam. It's become better in some states. But I still feel that RERA needs a little more teeth to become effective.
That's right. And I think that remains an agenda, and that's the future you're talking about in any case. But yes, for now, consumer can go to various forums. Now, talking about RERA and how RERA, some RERA, especially in past 6 months, have become very, very active and have passed a whole lot of consumer-friendly judgments. We now see Haryana RERA, which is one of the most active RERAs at this point of time, which is going to set up mediation centers for amicable dispute resolutions. Now, we have always been talking about how consumers do not want to fight, but rather want delivery of the home or the property that they have invested in, and that is what the primary interest is. And these mediation centers, of course, probably would be of a great help over there.
Maharashtra started it. Madhya Pradesh was the second in line. UP has had great success with its mediation. They call it the conciliation forums. These mediation centers are for those people who say, look, I don't want to fight it out in the RERA court. I just want you to help me resolve this. And the builder and the buyer are invited to the mediation center. There is a regulator there who will listen, a conciliation regulator there who will listen to it. And the good thing, Prasun, in all these resolution forums is that the body of developers RERA and NAREDCO and CREDAI, and the body of consumers, which is various consumer bodies, they also get involved in this so that they can exert peer pressure and get these things moving. So that, RERA doesn't have to run around to get orders executed and things like that. It has worked very well in a lot of cases, and I think resolution and conciliation is the way forward.
And you do see, Jayashree, therefore, wherever RERA regulators are very active, you do see a whole lot of solution-led, approaches coming and trying to resolve consumer or long-pending consumer issues.
Absolutely. If you look at what's happening in Haryana, why is the Haryana RERA so active now? There were a few builders who had gone to the High Court to seeking a stay on RERA in the state. The RERA lay low till that order came through, and they got a clean chit. In the meantime, they used all the laws, the state High Court verdicts and the Supreme Court verdicts, and they actually studied it in great detail, so that now when they issue orders, it is quoting past verdicts, being able to analyze the act very well. And I think some of the the orders that they've passed in the last few weeks have been very, very heartening that things will move forward and there will be a resolution soon.
Right, and that's wonderful development. Now, we have been talking about consumer issues, Jayashree, and the consumer grievances, and there are all kind of consumer issues, including delays and not adhering to specifications and other kind of issues that consumers have been facing. Now, one of the issues that came into the light was rather surprising, which is consumers were probably taken for a ride through alteration in their power meters. To charge other fees, including common area, electricity charges, etc. Now, Dakshin Haryana Bijli Vitran Nigam has passed an order prohibiting builders and RWAs from doing so. How significant are these things, and how rampantly these things are done really by developers and RWAs?
Power is one of the most contentious issues across the NCR. Whether it is Noida, Greater Noida, Ghaziabad, Gurgaon, and various other NCR towns, what you've seen is that power is the one thing with which, deliveries now with RERA, people have to deliver. But the small tinkering that happens so that individual meters can be tampered with, so that common area power can be charged to the individuals. These are things that are unheard of and very difficult to detect. But what I've noticed is that the consumers have become vigilant, and the consumers have become very, very militant about these things. So this is why developers like Unitech are caught out when they do things like this. It's, whether it's an RWA, whether it's a developer, the thing is that the power has to come from the DISCOM to the consumer. And the more intermediaries you have, the more problems you have. And even the DISCOMs have actually colluded in many cases with developers to give them power through rural feeders, all kinds of, very, very strange solutions they've come up with. All this is coming to light now when the genset ban has come in, and the consumers and are agitating justifiably, saying, how can you take the gensets away when our power issues are not resolved? So I think very soon you are going to see a lot more issues coming up and a lot more resolutions in power issues.
So power distribution, especially for the real estate and residential real estate sector, is up for some sort of a formalization of laws and other processes. Is that what is lacking there?
Yeah, it's like an overhaul. See, what happens is that historically we have not maintained our distribution and transmission systems very well. So India is one of the largest the countries which register the largest transmission and distribution losses. As a result, our power supply system has not been very efficient. In addition to that, with this large number of private development that happened, now the developers, once they hand over the property, ideally there should be a power from the DISCOM onto the consumer's meter, and the power should come directly. But the developers have been stalling, especially Noida, Greater Noida. They've been stalling this by saying that we'll take bulk power and then distribute at higher rates.
Hmm.
Now, consumers today, the regular maintenance charges are really pinching because maintenance charges have also been hiked.
Yeah,
So consumers are now fighting against this. We are going to see some kind of power reforms very soon.
sure. We have also been talking about, Jayashree, how in Maharashtra we are seeing a lot of proactive legislation, especially in real estate, happening to take the industry forward. Including reduction in stamp duty and a whole lot of other steps that were taken, and we had spoken about it. Now, one very consumer friendly again news that comes from Maharashtra is the state government, the state housing department, has now made it mandatory for the Bihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation to issue the completion certificate only after verifying that the developer has deposited 11-month rent in an escrow account for redeveloped or redeveloping properties. Now, this was one of the contentious issues, and the safety of 11 months of rent deposited in advance. Is it going to therefore give a new momentum to the redevelopment industry over there?
See, the redevelopment industry in Mumbai and the entire the greater Mumbai area was a crying need. We saw buildings collapsing, 100-year-old cessed buildings collapsing just because there were some clauses that were wrong in the redevelopment norms, and because of which not one project had gone through, not one resolution had gone through for the last year. Now, that also, in the same order, that has also been withdrawn so that buildings can go. The second thing is that a lot of developers, about 400 odd developers who are being prosecuted right now, they've got all the approvals, but they're not giving the rent in advance. They're not the consumers can't move till you pay the rent, right, which is the agreed norm. Now, if that does not happen, the consumers will not move and the whole process just languishes. And that's when, if this building collapses during any kind of natural calamity, then lives are lost for no rhyme or reason. So I think this was one of the best things that could happen, that escrow accounting has become the norm after RERA, right? So why not use escrow accounting for to put the rent advances as well? So I think it's the way forward, and it's a good move.
Yes, absolutely. Now, land has also been one of the contentious issues in our country, and with no or little land records, it becomes very difficult to rule on clear titles for lands. Now, Niti Aayog is about to release a draft model, or has just released actually a draft model act for land titles. How significant is this development, and why was this needed?
It's a good, a timely act, because India needs a national land act, a model act. Ultimately, land will remain a state subject, and every state has to enact it on its own. But in a situation where every state is moving towards digitization of land records, and we were talking to the NCAR the group which has created the land records register, they said that willy-nilly in the next 3 to 4 years, India's land will be documented. And there will be a cleanup happening very soon. Already we can see that happening. A lot of states have moved in and said, a lot of cities have moved in and said that you cannot buy unregulated land in the peripheries. Unless it is registered, you cannot buy it. So there is a cleanup already happening on the ground, and a model land act will make sure that at least there is some semblance of sanity in that national laws. A timely move.
Yeah, and I think it's also important from the land acquisition for businesses purposes point of view, right? Because as and when you see the more and more you see trying to develop industries and trying to increase industrialization, land becomes important, and having a well-defined rule book there is definitely going to help.
And in the warehousing and logistics is one of the, and data centers are one of the fastest developing industries, all of which need clear titled land.
Absolutely.
So this national land model land act is very essential.
Yes. So once since it's been released, probably on MBTV You should be doing a program around.
We're going to pick up the Model Act and discuss with the experts how it is going to impact India's land markets.
That's right. So users, please watch out for that, and keep watching MBTV. Lot more important things coming here.
Thank you for watching.